Dear Evan Hansen, today is going to be an amazing day, and here's why.
So I got to see the movie version of Dear Evan Hansen at the opening night of the Toronto International Film Festival. And I'll preface this by saying I haven't seen the stage version of the show. Now, I know there's going to be people that say, well, then you have no right to review the movie version if you haven't seen the stage version. Well, and reality is that there are going to be a lot of people that haven't seen the stage version that see this movie. And that's the interesting line that these adaptations have to walk in, that they have to please the hardcore fans who've seen Dear Evan Hansen on stage and have listened to that soundtrack a million times. And then the people that are not very familiar with it, and this is their first time experiencing the story. So that's where I come from in this perspective. So there's a lot of controversy about Ben Platt playing this role when he's now 27 years old. And I will say, watching this movie, it does stand out that he's 27 years old trying to play a high schooler. There are certain scenes that he really does look his age. That being said, Ben Platt is pretty outstanding in this role. I think it would have been hard for another actor to come in and play it when Ben Platt is so synonymous with it. So I was willing to forgive it to a certain extent. There are, yeah, some points where Ben Platt's age really does stand out, but no, Ben Platt is outstanding. And the one thing that stood out to me right away is that the first number, Ben is actually singing live to tape when he's filming the scene. Most of the time in movie musicals, you know, it's pre-recorded and then they're lip syncing to the playback. But no, there are parts of this that Ben Platt is singing live, and it has a great effect. It has a more integrated feel throughout the story. And a lot of the cast does sing live at certain points, like Kaitlyn Dever does, Amandla Stenberg does as well, even Julianne Moore does. We'll get to her in a second. Yeah, I loved Kaitlyn, I loved Amandla in this movie, especially Amandla. She had the great dynamic presence in her solo number. And I didn't realize that her solo number, the anonymous ones, was actually an original song. Usually in these movie musicals, I can tell right away what the original song is because it's just not as good. And they always stick an original song in there in order to get consideration for Oscars. But no, I didn't find the anonymous one stood out at all. I quite enjoyed her number. The other original song, A Little Closer, it did stick out to me that it was the original song. But no, Amanda's great here. Kaitlyn was great here. Julianne Moore, so she plays Evan Hansen's mom. I knew going in, I saw an interview with her beforehand that she said she does sing in this. Yeah, we've never really heard Julianne Moore sing, so I was very curious to hear her. And her number comes very, very late in the movie, and she knocks it out of the park. There's nothing Julianne Moore can't do. She's been doing this for like 40 years. Apparently she still has some tricks up her sleeve. So yeah, she sings in this and she's absolutely outstanding. Amy Adams is in this as well. Obviously Amy Adams sounds great. We know her singing voice very well. It's disappointing that we don't hear more of her sing. She's only part of one kind of duet number. So it's disappointing that we don't hear more of her. So the cast is absolutely outstanding in this. There was just something about it that didn't fully gel for me. I liked this movie, I didn't love it. One of the issues I would say is that none of the songs are particularly memorable. You Will Be Found, that was the song that stood to me. But other than that, there's not really a memorable song here. Like I think about recent musicals like Hamilton or Waitress, there are instantly songs that I wanted to hear again. There's nothing really from this show that I was dying to hear again, and that's not a great thing for a musical. But yeah, overall, I found this story a little bit problematic. I wasn't really sure how I was supposed to feel about Evan Hansen. Obviously he has his issues, but he's a pretty big a-hole in the story. So I wasn't sure if I'm really supposed to feel sympathy for him because I didn't. So that was a problem for me throughout this movie, that I wasn't really sympathetic or on board with what the protagonist was doing. So that was a huge problem for me. But no, it is a very outstanding cast performing this story. They really elevate the material. But yeah, I wasn't blown away by this movie. I liked it. I didn't love it. I would give it a B. I'm very curious to hear from Dear Evan Hansen hardcore fans what they think about this movie. I can't really see them hating it because it seems very similar to the stage production. And I'm also curious to hear from people that aren't familiar with this story and seeing it for the first time. I think part of the reason I didn't love it is that it's not an uplifting story in any kind of way. It's pretty depressing. For a musical, this is pretty somber material. So that's part of the reason I wasn't over the moon about it. I think it's hard to be over the moon about something that's so downbeat. But no, the cast is outstanding in this. So I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts about what you thought of Dear Evan Hansen, the movie.